When I first bought the house at 117 Lake Marigold Drive, I could practically hear the collective gasp echo across the water. Every home on the lake shimmered with perfect paint jobs, manicured lawns, and smug perfection. Then there was mine, the eyesore. Peeling shutters, a rusted tin roof, and a faded mailbox that leaned like it had given up on life. But I saw potential. I saw an escape from city chaos. And more importantly, a deal. $85,000. For waterfront property when the cheapest neighbor's home listed at $1.2 million. I didn't buy it to fit in. I bought it to live free. The day I moved in, the HOA president, Karen Whitmore, arrived before my moving truck even left. She wore white capri pants and a visor that screamed authority. With a clipboard in one hand and a glare in the other, she approached. "Excuse me," she said, blocking my porch. "You're aware that this home violates several HOA standards, correct?" I smiled. "I just bought it. I haven't even unpacked." She frowned, flipping through her papers. "The paint is non-compliant. The fencing is unapproved, and that boat dock, well, it's practically a lawsuit waiting to happen." "Good thing I'm not swimming yet," I said. Karen's lips tightened. "The HOA takes pride in maintaining community standards. We'll be in touch." She left me with a sinking feeling and a warning shot of what life here would be like. Over the next week, I received 3 violation letters. One for unsightly trash bins. One for improper mailbox height, and another because my grass exceeded the 3-inch limit. I thought about selling. Then one evening, I sat on my rickety dock, watching the sunset paint the lake in molten gold. A thought struck me. What if I didn't fix the house to fit in, but rebuilt it on my terms? I started sketching designs, calling contractors, and researching zoning loopholes. I wasn't just going to fix the house, I was going to make it a masterpiece. Karen would hate every minute of it. By winter, scaffolding surrounded the property. Trucks lined the cul-de-sac, and Karen's emails tripled. "This construction violates Section 4A, she wrote. Noise must cease by 5 p.m. I responded once, "Don't worry. I'm just getting started." 3 months later, the lakefront had a new landmark, a sleek, modern home with solar glass walls and a cantilevered deck that made the old mansions look like dollhouses. Appraisers called it visionary. Karen called it disruptive. The cheapest house on Lake Marigold was now the most valuable. And that's when the real war began. Karen didn't come storming in immediately. She waited until the spring HOA meeting, where I was introduced as the new resident with creative interpretations of the bylaws. The laughter that followed was polite, but the undertone was venom. The meeting was held at Karen's house, which looked like a country club lobby exploded in it. White furniture, matching floral arrangements, and the faint scent of disapproval. She sat at the head of the table with a binder thicker than a legal textbook. "We've had multiple complaints," she began, "regarding excessive construction vehicles, unauthorized architectural modifications, and a deck that appears to extend 12 inches beyond the regulated limit." I raised my hand. "Technically, it's 10.5. I measured. Karen's smile was tight. "Nevertheless, it violates our standards. The HOA board has voted to impose a fine." "How much?" $500 per day until compliance." The room murmured. I leaned back, calm as the lake outside. "Then I suppose you'll be sending a lot of invoices." Her eyes flashed. "You can't defy the HOA, Mr. Bennett. The rules protect our community's value." "That's funny," I said. "Since my remodel increased property values across the lake by nearly 15%. You're welcome." That's when I realized Karen didn't care about value. She cared about control. Over the following weeks, she escalated. Anonymous complaints arrived, about noise, offensive lighting, even the color of my recycling bins. A local inspector randomly visited my property twice a month. It was obvious who sent them. But I wasn't playing defense. I dug into HOA bylaws, discovered outdated clauses, and filed for exemptions. My lawyer friend helped me file a counterclaim citing harassment. When Karen posted public notices about my violations, I responded by opening my home for a charity Lakeview tour. The local paper covered it. Modern Marvel on Marigold, the headline read. The story went viral. Suddenly, realtors called, investors showed interest. And my property, bought for $85,000, was appraised at $2.3 million. Karen called an emergency HOA meeting that night. This cannot continue, she snapped. He's making a mockery of our regulations. I smiled across the table. You can't regulate progress, Karen. You can only slow it down. She pointed her pen like a weapon. You have no idea who you're dealing with. She was right. Neither of us did. The HOA declared open season. Karen began a campaign to preserve community heritage, complete with flyers warning about reckless property modifications. I was the unspoken villain in every paragraph. One morning, I found a "for sale" sign planted in my front yard, with "by order of HOA" stamped across it. I laughed out loud. She was unhinged. I took a photo, posted it online, and within hours, it went viral again. HOA gone wild, Lake Karen versus the innovator. The internet loved it. Memes, TikToks, and comment sections roasted her. She tried to have the posts removed, but the Streisand effect only fueled it further. Then came the drone incident. Karen, desperate for evidence, flew a drone over my house to photograph infractions. Unfortunately for her, state privacy laws were on my side. I reported it. The sheriff showed up on her doorstep. That didn't stop her. The HOA started fining me daily, totaling nearly $40,000. But my attorney advised me to ignore it. Those fines weren't legally enforceable without a court order. Meanwhile, property developers approached me with offers. They wanted to buy the lot, tear it down, and replicate the design for luxury developments elsewhere. I declined. This wasn't about money anymore, it was about principle. When the local news ran a follow-up story titled, "The Men Who Outsmarted His HOA," Karen snapped. She called an emergency vote to revoke my HOA membership. But my lawyer reminded her, you can't kick out a property owner. So she tried a different approach. She reported me to the Environmental Agency for shoreline contamination. Inspectors came, tested the water, and found it cleaner than the neighboring properties. The irony was delicious. Eventually, even other HOA members began to tire of her obsession. One of them, Dan, quietly approached me at the dock one evening. "She's making enemies," he said. "People are tired of the drama. Maybe it's time someone new ran for HOA president." I smiled. "Funny you should mention that." The next month, I filed my candidacy. Karen laughed when she saw the notice. "Do you think you can win?" she asked. I leaned in, grinning. "I don't think I know." Election day was chaos. The community turnout doubled. When the final votes were counted, I won by a single ballot. Karen stood silent as I took the gavel. "Meeting adjourned," I said. "Let's make this lake beautiful again, on everyone's terms." Her face said it all. Being HOA president wasn't part of the plan, it was the victory lap. But once I stepped into Karen's old chair, I realized how deep her control ran. She had created a web of overreaching rules. Everything from mailbox colors to lawn ornament dimensions. It was ridiculous. So I called for reform. "Starting today," I told the room, "we're dissolving half the HOA bylaws. Homeowners deserve freedom, not fear." The applause was instant, except from Karen, who sat in the back, arms crossed. She was still technically a member, but powerless. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Over the next months, the community changed. Neighbors started repainting homes. Installing solar panels, planting wildflower gardens. Property values didn't drop, they soared. Lake Marigold transformed from a sterile gated circle into a thriving, creative neighborhood. Investors came calling again. One made an offer I couldn't ignore, $3.8 million. I sold, but not before hosting one last lake party. Open to everyone, no dress code, no rules. Karen showed up at sunset, standing awkwardly near the pier. Nice place, she muttered. Didn't think it'd turn out like this. Neither did I said. But it's better this way. She sighed. You know, I was just trying to keep things perfect. That's the problem, Karen. Perfection doesn't grow. It just cracks. For a moment, she looked human, tired, humbled. Then she nodded and walked away, visor in hand. 2 weeks later, the new owners moved in, a young couple starting a family. I watched from across the lake as they unpacked boxes and laughed on the deck I built. The water glowed gold again. Just like the day I first sat there and saw potential. The cheapest house on the lake had become the story everyone wanted to tell. Before I left, I found one of Karen's old violation letters in a drawer. Unsightly property, it read. I framed it and hung it in my new home's office as a reminder. Rules are fine, until they become cages. And sometimes, it takes one eyesore to open everyone's eyes. The HOA lost its queen. The lake gained its freedom. And me? I just smiled, knowing I'd won something better than money, peace.